So, with this being said, I leave the floor for discussions, and if any one of you have any suggestions, questions, comments, the floor is ready. We, as a lady, have presented, together with CLRI, have presented what we have for a cleaner technological solutions for Ethiopian tanning sector. As I have already mentioned earlier in my opening remarks, this is a time where we are highly challenged due to environmental issues. On one hand, the big public, the larger public is calling for a cleaner environment. That is a constitutional right which we cannot compromise. On the other hand, we are also looking for more export, more forex earnings. That's also a challenge. And this has to go in parallel. We want to grow and we want to protect our environment as well. We cannot compromise one for the other. And from the 4 or 5 presentations that were delivered this morning, we saw that there is a possibility to grow without affecting our environment. So it's a matter of making a choice, the right choice, and the choice is presented to you. So it should be out of this spirit that we are going to conduct these discussions, and I leave for Dr. Chandru if you have some comments, and then we'll leave the floor for you for discussions.
Thank you. There's no better way we could have expressed the necessity for bringing out a roadmap for sustainability for Ethiopian sector. Friends, let me tell you here that the options that are available to us, as I said right before, we are at the crossroads now to look at which way we need to go. Whether we want to go the way conventionally somebody had gone, and we also keep complaining about that we are not able to meet. Friends, let me tell you, there were some discussions that was coming out. You all must be aware that even the way we process, there are options like sustainability indexes and something else also being brought out. There are certifications which are coming out how the tanneries function. When we say, many of you might be aware of the LWG audits, which some of the major buyers of the West are enforcing through certain measures. Many of them talk about how we practice, how we handle our solid waste, or how we handle our liquid waste, how much of water we are using, even water audit, carbon footprint, energy. And it doesn't stop with that. In fact, they go one step ahead and then talk about the environment with which our workforce are entrusted with the work in an industrial environment, in a tannery. So what kind of facilities we try to provide them. So the more of what we say untidiness in your work environment, that is going to bring down the levels of your certification by which you could be. So there are such challenges which are coming. In fact, many of them are asking us to keep our in-house much cleaner. But while we say it is not just to keep my in-house or the factory clean, but it can be kept clean only when you practice some of the cleaner or the greener options. The challenges are how well we will be able to adopt. In fact, I've been telling to Dr. Bokale also about the challenges now. It is not only to look for some of these technological options. Let me tell you, many of the tanners might come back and tell some of these technologies to be adopted, that we need to have a good training of our manpower. In fact, LIDI and CLRI could be very willing to look at, even to go to every industry and to train them the best practices. When I say best practices, it is how to maintain even the quality control measures. And if you say how the soaking should be done, or how each of these operations, what kind of parameters one has to look. So a better housekeeping practices. That is also essential. When my colleagues were talking about time frames, I think we need to incorporate, how do we train our tannery workforce within this time frame so that this could be achieved. So that is one option where we both, LIDI and CLRI, are committed to extend even that helping hand, because some of the tanners might come back and tell, does it require additional qualities or qualification for my workforce? Maybe to some extent they may have to be fine-tuned. That could be taken up. And apart from that, my colleagues did talk about the other measures like wealth from waste. The wealth from waste is one way of looking at sustainability, especially in an environment. Otherwise, if you don't even convert anything, it's going to remain as a waste. And there were several instances, the waste from one industry becomes an input for somebody else. So are we looking at something of that kind? Even a salt, as it was said, even in India. So people are now looking at the sodium chloride thus separated and purified, whether it can go to a chloralkali unit. A chloralkali unit uses several millions of tons of sodium chloride to produce chloralkali. And the tanneries produce only a few thousands, maybe 100,000 maximum. So how do we go about it? As we say, there is a constant evolution of technologies. Today we are talking about this. Probably in about a couple of years, we may be looking at an option where the salt itself may not be used in our entire process, like curing. We may even come out with certain other chemicals where it's going to be a totally greener option, where the salt need not be used at all. The days are not far off. Now, when I say it's almost more than 150 years of chrome tanning. Many of you might be aware there are several ways by which people were trying to address the chromium, enhance the chromium uptake. There were options like an improved or increased temperature condition at which you can do, or with a reduced flow, or using some external chrome exhaust aids, something like that. Whatever we try to do, probably we could achieve 80 or 85%. Still, there was something going into them, and it was mandated to go for a management systems. Now we are talking about this. When I talk about it, I must say, during the last international conference of leather, which was held in Chennai, when this technology was presented, many of the European and other American they said, if this technology is adopted, then that is going to be one of the revolutionary thing that has happened in the entire chrome tanning history of more than 150 years. So that's the kind of, we are now sitting over a technology which is a total game changer, which so far nobody has even come to it. And there are several chemical houses, you might be aware, many of them, they keep trying for various options. Some of them are even, they have gone to an extent of not using chromium at all. You know why? They resorted to not using chromium because it was not possible to contain the chromium in effluent. So some of the houses looking at an alternative methods of it. But if we can do a safer chrome tanning where complete zero discharge of chromium into the effluent, if we can achieve, where is the necessity for us to look for other alternative ones when we are protecting the total environment? At the same time, we all know that the chrome tanning is the best tanning method by which we can resort to some of the best quality in the leather, whether it is glove leather or whether it is a Napa leather, or even to some extent my upper leathers. So when such is the case, and without affecting environment, why should we not keep trying on that? That's one option. And of course, as I said, if we resort to a better in-house housekeeping, a better housekeeping measures, in fact some of the techniques like the electro-oxidation where they were trying to look at segregation and then using them, it's all it requires is Initially, it may look like, oh, do I have to do this? Let me tell you, if we have to sustain, only those who can be competent enough to do some of these things would be able to survive. When we say this, there are many examples even back in our country, that some of them who could not afford to had to shut down and then go, because as our DG said, at no cost the environment shall be allowed to be deteriorated. So the governments are very careful about that. Many of our developing nations, while we are on the tread path of manufacturing regime, many of the industrial production over the past we have seen always trying to shift towards a slightly deteriorated environmental measures. But that is not the case. Now people are even talking about Industry 4.0, where people are now talking about the overall sustainability. Again, the sustainability is going to be the futuristic word. When they talk about sustainability there, in terms of cost, in terms of in terms of energy, they talk about sustainability in all aspects, in the whole sphere. And let me tell you that the day is not far off that Industry 4.0 will be mandated at least in the next 5 or 6 years' time. But by that time, how do we get into it? I think if we don't resort to some of these measures, it will be pretty difficult for us even to think about looking at the Industry 4.0. So with these few words, I wish our presentations were there. There were in some of the, I think there were about 8 or 9 tanneries. Our people, both LIDI and CLRI, have gone and demonstrated the technology. We would like to hear your feedbacks. In case if you have some queries or doubts, our colleagues are here to spell out some of those doubts with you, and that's much easier. And this is where, let me tell you, nowhere else we have, not even in India, we have seen somebody looking for acquiring a technology and then trying to pass it on to industry. So here is the government which is proactive, looking forward to the tanners to adopt this technology so that they can be sustainable environmentally, and by which, as it was mentioned, that the whole your value chain can go up and your export earnings. And the more you resort to this, I think the level of confidence what you will get to the next value addition, that getting into products and other things. And I'm sure this is one way of this is probably at the best at which we are all now assembled here. And I once again urge the stakeholders to come forward to deliberate and iron out all your doubts, whatever it is. But this is the best forum, and let us take things forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chandru. So now it is your time. Hussein, one. Maybe let's start with you.
Thank you for these lectures. First, I would like to thank the government, especially for I think taking the cost of this floatless chrome system to be implemented into the factories. And I think from what I understood, the chrome-free system, I think it has a lot of advantage than its drawback. I think if we look at all the, I have tried to ask some questions to the presenter during the break, and I noted my concerns. I have asked him my concerns, and almost all had been positively replied. Some of the questions I raised were, for example, what could be the temperature build-up into the system, which will eventually, will it create the Chrome 6? And he replied me, even in a hot environment in India, that was not the case. It was maximum it raised to 45 degrees, and in Ethiopia it was only 35, which is very lucky, so it is good. And in another question I have asked him was about the loading capacity will be reduced. Yes, he said, but it is only 15 to 20%. And in Ethiopian case, it is only, it's not a matter because most of the engines we have are highly overrated. Therefore, I mean, most of us use Italian machineries and which are having extra capacity. So the floatless by itself, that drawback is already taken care of. But when we come to the benefits, it's quite a lot, honestly speaking, because first of all the chrome is exhausted, and that means you don't need to have all the recycling issues or any sort of that. Also at the same time, the chrome which goes into the leather, it actually reduces the cost of chemicals, which are less chrome, same time also less synthals and other returning chemicals. Therefore, you get a better leather. In many ways, and also it has also impact in reducing the COD at the same time because the affinity is higher. I mean, exhaustion level is very high, which also contribute to the end of COD issues. Less COD, not so much, but about 10%, I assume, from the standard, which I have. And then I've asked about wrinkles and all that. That also similar results to the conventional, which is good. Therefore, I would suggest to all of us to accept this system, and it has no cost, because the cost structure is a big issue in Ethiopia. I really want the government is spending many things on different things, but has to help the tanneries, just like this one. Such as, for example, there is EO, this electro-oxidation system. Okay, this depends on the tanneries. Therefore, I think some of the things like soaking, this is a good system to use EO. But when we come to the other options, some of us, we may prefer ammonia-free or hair-safe machineries. Therefore, it is a choice to be made. So I think in this one, there is a big cost involved, and the government has to really look to it and help the tanneries in the EO. Overall, just like as you have done on the chrome, it should be also on others. Thank you.
Ato Hussein has explained very well about the benefits of this technology. I would just want to say some small comment regarding environmental and sustainability issues. At the moment, the government and also the regional governments, the environmental and sustainability issues are very important and very serious discussions going on, how to solve it, and tanneries are also investing a lot of money upgrading their primary treatment plants to secondary. And this regard, this technology will help us in avoiding a lot of issues in terms of chrome and other serious issues. regarding the situation with the tanneries to implement this program. During the coffee break, we discussed with Ato Wakale and some of our colleagues that we will have 4 tanneries who will be trying to fully implement this project. One of them is also my tannery, and this implementation should be for an extended period, so the tanneries will understand and see the benefits of this technology. And after that, we will examine and decide what the next step will be. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to first to tell about the opinion of my tannery, which I came from, the Red Tannery. The production manager suggested that the waterless chrome tanning is good on hides, but there is a problem on skins because the skin has no the right roundness, and it's a little bit harder when processed to the crust stage. So as we have heard from the presentation, if there is some synchronization or adjustment, I think it's better to do on that. The other thing which I want to ask is one, when it's suggested waterless chrome tanning, I think the pickle process is eliminated. That means there is a float of only 80 to 100% float. But when we see the tanning process, in order to process 1,000 kilogram of hide, it's necessary to have 35,000 or 35 metric cube of water required. But when the presentation is, when we see the presentation, it says that the water consumption will be reduced from 35,000 liters to 8 to 10,000. How? I didn't understand that point. Please, would you clarify? The other is one or two, a couple of questions from the waterless chrome tanning. Why not chromeless tanning technology instead of waterless chrome tanning? Why not you? Because the world at this time, it has chromophobia. People they are afraid of chrome. Why not we eliminate chrome from the chrome tanning rather than using waterless chrome tanning? My question, and that's all. Thank you.
Kolba, thank you for the opportunity given. I'm from Kolba, Tanai. 1 year ago, I think this chromeless tank was evaluated 1 year ago in Nexus Hotel. 3 tanneries, the trial was done in the 3 tanneries. I think this tannery, Elico, and Mojo. As Kolba, we are not having a chance for that trial. Anyway, I participated in the evaluation or in the workshop. There were some advantages explained, and disadvantages were also explained. We have seen the tan leather and all. The same issue was raised about the skin. The hide is okay. and for the ship tannery it was not okay. All these things were explained. Anyway, even at that time, my tannery was accepting the technology to make it real in Kolba. And we request Lily and the CLRI people came, they made it real once. When the first trial we tried by on cowhide, the same problem was the same problem raised in access voltage, that the issue was the shrinkage problem as an issue. Also in our tannery was the shrinkage problem for the first trial was founded, but we discussed with the team. We didn't claim for the technology that shrinkage problem has got so many reasons. Maybe our process or our controlling mechanism is poor or something like that. But during that time when we evaluated, the problem was our hide was not properly fleshed and some other things. We improved that. We repeated commercially the same trial and we got a good result. We did up to finishing. We finished, we gave for the customer. No bad comment has received. Again, after we conducted the cow, we went to the goat processing. Goat also we have done, it was okay. We did it commercially, as I told you. We supply to our customers. Nobody report come. And again, our fear was for the sheep globe. And that was also done 2-3 times. We compared the crust. It was okay. We did globe, we mix it and we send it to our customers. There was no bad comment. About the physical test, DD people, it was okay. So we repeatedly we did and it was acceptable, and we were ready to use that technology. We requested to bring it to our tannery. If there is any as much as we can share the expense. Even we say, if you remember in one meeting I spoke like this, but the big problem is it's not fast. More than 1 year. I don't know why. There was one meeting, production meeting, workshop in Ambassador Hotel. Many technicians were there. They appreciate some technological trials are being done, but when we come to practice, it is not fast. This issue has to be addressed to Lily. And the other thing about the electro-oxidation treatment system, it was the first time then in our tannery again. We followed it. First, we did it with soap liquor, we treat, it was a clear water, and again the lime liquor was done, and again there after tanning was done. All the result was okay, and the result was sent to DD. If the treated water meets the discharge limit, I think the DD people can tell about it, because they are the ones who did in the laboratory. Secondly, we took from the primary treatment. Again, we treat with this electro-oxidation system, and it was the best result. Therefore, we again ask to import this technology. You know, we as the Kolba team, we have evaluated as this is a new innovation. The suppliers, they gave us the technology. There may be some problem. We are the one to give effort to improve. If there is some problem, it depends in each tannery condition, and it depends the way we process our own system. So we have to contribute our own effort to improve, to reach to the acceptance level. We have to be a part of, this is innovation, we have to be a part of, a part to solve the problems. It's only always, when you import a technology, it must not be 100% perfect. If we accept it as a science, as innovation, I think we have to contribute our effort. This is the decision of Colba management. And again, we have also seen the enzyme lining. All these three technologies we followed, we evaluated, we have accepted it, and we request to use it. The big problem is, I think Lidi has to help us to make it fast. This we take, if something wrong, if you are not successful, if there is some expense, our tannery has decided, doesn't matter, it is a technology, we learn out of it. But we must not repair to the technology. As Mr. Tadek told, the conditions this time, it is a big problem concerning the environment. This technology may be one of the solutions to solve the problem. Allow me to speak two sentences, speak in Amharic. ምንድነው አሁን ባለው በኢትዮጵያ ታናሪ ሲቹዌሽን በሞጆ ሲቹዌሽን ብታዩት እነዚህን አሁን የተነገሩ ሶስት ቴክኖሎጂዎች እንደ ሬሚዲ ሊወሰዱ የሚገባቸው አሁን አንድ ሰው ሁለት ሰው ይሄ ነው ብሎ በተናገረው ትልልቅ ዲሲዥን በሰራተኛ ላይ በኤክስፖርተር ኢንዲንጉ ላይ በልማቱ ላይ ትልቅ የማይታሰብ ውሳኔ በሚወሰንበት ጊዜ የዚህ አይነቱ አማራጭ ሲመጣ እንደኛ እኛ የወሰነው እንደ ሎተሪ አድርገን የወሰነው ለማለት ነው እና I come again this electro oxidation system, one, as the presenter told, we can use it with the enzyme lining and using the recycling and all those things. Maybe this thing is maybe a big problem for the time being. If we can use this electro-oxidation system directly to the primary, the outlet of the primary treatment, this will be a good solution even to avoid secondary or tertiary. Or if we use it after secondary also, it will help us to avoid the tertiary, because we have seen it. As Korba, we are investing for the secondary treatment as well. This technology is also we are importing. I think the machinery is already started producing 1 month ago. I don't know, they can tell us, the CLRI people. Please, Didi has to help us. We are committed to be the first this three technology, and already this three technology will be, we have decided to be part of our management, our environmental plan. So in our case, it is acceptable. Didi should help us to make it fast. Thank you very much.
My name is Solomon from Iliko. First and being, I would like to thank and congratulate Lidi and the tuning partner, CLRI. Thank you very much, because it is a timely solution for Ethiopian health sector. Let me start with my observation, which I have seen in the tea break time, the displayed finished crust and wet glue material. From the finishing one, I have seen in skin a little dryness in compared with a conventional product. In wet blue, I have seen more fullness and all the cross-section looks like good, and also the color is very good in the new process. And I have seen the crust, a very deep shade with a new process than a conventional one. This information I have got from my tannery also. The deepest shade can be found with a new waterless process. But I believe always a new technology like this will be qualified and improved. As my colleagues in my back also telling more information about their trial again and again, and they found that a better result through time they found. So it is very interesting process, connection with sustainability and also cost. Let me ask a presenter, particularly with a waterless process, the theory behind. The second presenter mentioned a laser process is undo and do, always, it seems like funny, always playing with pH, playing with acid and alkalis, go and back. As far as we know, because so many technicians and chemists are here, during the tanning process, we make all our pelts to be plus charged here, to change the isoelectric point to plus, to push the chrome inside. But what is the theory behind really playing the driving force to penetrate the chrome with this floatless process? Let me ask you. So I think this is the one. I didn't know the chemicals they are using or the process. I don't know, but getting this result is as such, not easy. But when we look at it, the material, it is very interesting, and we have to open our mind to the new technology like this to come up with such a solution. So I need the theory behind. Very short. I don't to put many people here who have no actually interested because of time constraint and other to see the details. The other thing, I want to extend this opinion or suggestion to LIDI or the government. I have seen the roadmap and the presentation from 2020. I think we have to come up with a very high level to be Ethiopian reserve sector as a sustainable and comfortable sector that play expected role in Ethiopia to generate foreign currency, to have unemployment, to reduce unemployment, and also a big role to poverty reduction. So in this roadmap, we need to have a detailed strategic implementation plan. I think the tannery with LIDI or the concerned stakeholders has to put this clearly. Otherwise, the suffering of tanneries nowadays in constraint of financial problem to have investment such as like the oxidation electro-oxidation systems and other additional costs than the cost they have now already incurring to their process, because you know already the challenging tanneries nowadays. So in connection with finance and investment and the implementation, we have to see the detail of this implementation plan. Thank you very much.
I thank you very much for the chance. And my name is Gwandula Kasa. I came from UNIDO. And I know this technology since 2010. And the technology started in India before that. But I'm now in different organization. And we have a program in UNIDO, especially the biggest motto for the UNIDO is now, which is by 194 countries, also launched the program called ISID, that is Inclusive Sustainable Industrial Development. It is the program, and UNIDO is always there when sustainability is raised, especially the industrial part, because UNIDO is supporting the capacity, social welfare, sustainability of the industries. So we are very happy to hear and also to support this program based by consultation with LIDI and Ministry of Trade and Industry. Knowing this, but we have to work with the organizations. I'm very happy also to hear the very experienced professional Ato Kabada Amadi about this technology. And when I told him, as I had a plan to go to India, at that time also, together with the owner, Ato Ayela, and the production manager at Kabada, they told me why this technology is not coming, why it takes so much time. We convinced, and we have tried a lot of times in our tannery, we convinced it, and we have done a lot of processes, and these all questions which is raised by different tanneries, they also have passed the problem. The problem is created, but you have to back and correct it. There is a lot of options because this technology is working on process, not on chemicals. If you do for chemicals, if this process of bringing wet glue or bringing crust, if you do by chemicals, and if this mistake is coming, you have to go to recheck your chemical. And you have to bring another chemical, which is modified one. But this, if there is any problem is created, you have to go to your process and correct it. There is a lot of means to correct without any investment, without any cost. You can correct. Please, what I want to our tanneries, don't stop with one results. You may get some results, but go forward it and you can improve it. You can get the best result out of this. And me and Mr. Bogala have a chance to visit the Ranipet tanneries. One is the gold level tanneries, that is by laser working group, is labeled as gold. And they are processing 100% the calf skins and also the hides, but for the best and fashion leather goods and also lady shoes. And the lady shoe, you know, one of the softest ones from the shoe uppers. They are producing and they are just supplying to the international market. And they have done this process technology for 2 years without any problem, and they are very happy, and they are rated gold. And we have visited also the other tannery who is processing the skin, the goat skin and sheep skin. And they are scored for 1 year and they are silver rated. Now, if you go for website of LWG for different countries, getting silver rate and gold rate is, the number of tanneries is very less because the requirement is sophisticated. So if this is in that much accepted, please, taking time is again just bringing so many stresses on our tannery. It will bring, and we will pay another cost. Now we are discussing about some costs. If we take some time, again, the cost will come, because the cost for environment, the cost of problems will be created. It is better to run against time, because we are now, the time is running against us. It is better to go and to take the new technology and without any cost and without any new investment. Just open our mind and then go for the new technology. But if you close it starting from the beginning, it is a problem. So as UNILO, we will support all the tanneries who are involved. Of course, now the 4 tanneries are, they express their feeling. We are just standing with them together with LIDI, and also the other technologies, the EO, and also enzymatic analytic, because this place sustainability, and it will bring this, and it will place the sustainability of the industries. So according to me, taking further time by standing here and taking another time will give or will bring, and will run to for another pain, especially for our tanneries. So it is better to go with time, and we are ready to, because we are working, UNIDO LISEC project, we have 3 components of raw hidden skills, supporting tanneries and investments, especially for local, to attract for local new investors in order to enter to this sector. So we are supporting tanneries. It's one of our strategic objectives. For this, we are ready to go with this technology. Thank you very much.
Maybe some quick reflections from
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Gutama from previous name Addis Ababa Environmental Protection. Current name is Addis Ababa Environmental Protection and Green Development Commission. Why the name is changed? What I have to emphasize on this part. Before I start commenting or asking question, I want to request to all, I have to speak as EPA. Previously, I was growing at LIDI and I've learned at CLRI, and because of the rule and the regulation given, the mandate given to EPA, I will express accordingly. So, the name Environmental Protection and Green Development Commission was given is that the government fully authorized the previous EPA now to exercise the norm, the environmental norms and the regulations. So right now more autonomous power was given for EPA. When I come to the presentation, it is excellent, very good. Why? Because this clear technology is very important. It's the first top priority option for to save the environment. From my experience, I learned from India, especially when I am doing my research part, PhD. Weekly once I'm collecting wastewater from CTP. The challenge there, not only initial investment, the very challenging one is operational and maintenance problem there. There is a big workshop there. Always they are doing, the maintenance people are doing different type of works when I visit the tunnel. So my doubt here, when I visit our tunnels, I told them, you have to come together, even think for maintenance. If you are sustainably doing the treatment, the maintenance operational, you will face challenge. So this cleaner technology, I think it will it will minimize the maintenance operational cost. And the other thing, solid waste management. The solid waste management, after this is the big challenge for tunnels. Why? Because previously government has planned to have constant Sandafa landfill. That one, it is not working after all. Why? Because it is mislocated area. We started, we have assessed as Addis Ababa city administration by along with different stakeholders, including the university professors. Finally, the site was wrongly located. Then, after this, I think it is very big challenge for tunnels to dispose their solid wastes, especially chrome. Here, what I have to tell you is that hazardous waste for solid, we are preparing proclamation for that. So, finally, you cannot dump together with sanitary landfill as well as open landfill. At that time, you will face a big problem. So, it is better to think right now to manage these hazardous wastes. When I come to some few points, especially the standard also, we are going to change the standard also. 500 COD is more, it is big. We are going to make more stringent for Addis. We are working on that also. Even more other standard, for example, sanitary municipality, we are working on that. Hazardous waste, I have told solid waste, we have started to make a standard for that. 500 in Addis, maybe after 1 year, it may be not possible. It is not my decision. It is the decision of the government, EPA. Even for your information, I am defending for tunnels in front of the mayors and the council meeting. Why? Because I know it takes time to develop the technology to construct the treatment plant. The EU tunnels have agreed to construct within 6 months. But they are asking, the cabinet members are asking us, what happened? 6 months over. You have to force. They are asking us. But we are defending them. I am telling them 600 means technology is coming pro abroad, construction in long time. Now, then I told them before 2-3 months, I told them most of them have constructed. It is under commissioning phase. Then before 10 days, they was asked, how many months is commissioning take? Commission or operational take? They are asking like that. Again, I told them bacteria, something like that. I don't go in detail. So please, the competent tunnelists, they will work. But the others, it is challenging. For you, please try to, sorry. Try to focus and compete each other. The competent one, again, they will work. When I come to some questions regarding the electro-oxidation process, Dr. Madan clearly mentioned that it needs sectional treatment. That's not possible to have a compositional wastewater treatment for electro-oxidation, one question. The other thing, you mentioned that after some cycle time, you may not use, right? So, if that is the case, you told also evaporation. If evaporator is needed here, what's the difference between this after arrow? We use also multiple evaporator. So in this case, what's the difference between that and here in terms of operation and the others? You didn't emphasize that part. That is my question. The first question. The second question. The third one, zero liquid discharge, you told. Is that 100% zero liquid discharge? After evaporation, there is nothing, some waste, some discharge in that regard. That is my point. Then the final remark is personal remark. It is better to immediately go for electrode oxidation at soaking and go for waterless chrome tanning, so you can meet the current standard of federal EPA standard. That is my personal remark. This is not EPA's remark.
I would like to answer one by one. I think I did not get the names. One gentleman has asked regarding the skins being a little tighter in the case of not heights, but in the case of skins, the properties are not as good as the conventional ones. I think less roundness. That's because of the fine tuning required in the post tanning process. The moment you try to fine tune a bit in the post tanning, then the properties can be as equivalent to the conventional one. I think Mr. Kabadi from Kolba has already answered that question by his own tannery trials. That initially they could not get the required results, but after 1 or 2 trials, they are very happy, and it is almost the same as the normal one. And you also asked another question: why not chrome less? Currently, we try to develop this particular technology to meet the current requirements, because the current requirements are chrome-based leathers. All over the world, more than 90% of the leathers are made by chromium. Only 10% is chrome-less. So this technology is to solve the current environmental problem and also to make the industry sustainable. Having said that, as at CLRI, we also try to work on developing chromeless technologies. There are a lot of technologies we already did a lot of research. Very soon, once those requirements come, we will try to implement those. And
so Mr. Solomon also told the skins were a little dry.
Yeah. The skin, Mr. Solomon, from Elico, the dryness, what you have observed because of the fat liquor issue, that again needs to be fine-tuned by post-tanning. As we were saying, this wet blue has very rich chromium content. So the post-tanning needs to be fine-tuned a little bit. So then you will achieve your standard requirements. And I think you also asked a very important question, like what is the theory behind the waterless chrome tanning? As we given in the brochure, it actually redefines the conventional chrome tanning chemistry. In the conventional chrome tanning, you try to first adjust the pH to 3, where the protein functional groups are rich in positive charge, as you have already mentioned, that is NH3+, COOH, carboxyl groups are protonated, and NH3+, and then you put your chromium inside, the chromium goes inside, there is no reaction after pickling once you put the chromium in conventional chrome tanning. And then you try to do the basification, you increase the pH to about 4, then this carboxyl group get ionized, then the chromium links, there is an interaction. Whereas the waterless chrome tanning, the pH profile is little different, it avoids do undo logic, there is no pickling, no basification, there is some intermediate pH which we optimized already, and we try to make the available carboxyl groups ready for reaction. So the mechanism here is simultaneous penetration and also fixation. So it's a totally new technology, and the moment everyone agrees for this enrolling this technology, the moment you sign the agreement, I will give you complete picture and the theory. And very briefly, it is a simultaneous process, both penetration and fixation. Thank you. And a couple of other questions, Dr. Sir.
Thank you so much. At the outset, let me thank Ato Kabede and Mr. Wundu for the clear directions and the suggestions provided by them. And now the questions, and also at this juncture, let me, on behalf of LIDI, state that LIDI is, along with CLRI, committed totally to address all the environmental issues of the tanning industry of Ethiopia. And insofar the strategy and the implementation plan is concerned, yes, once this roadmap, the broad roadmap outline is accepted by all the stakeholders, we will prepare a white paper and that will be submitted to the government. So that is the plan. In that white paper, the detailed plan of implementation will be enunciated. And of course, we have couple of questions with respect to EVO. Whether EVO can be adopted for the composite wastewater, I request Dr. Madan to address that. With respect to the limited cycle, the limited recycle of EVO treated wastewater is only in the case of post-tanning streams, not in the case of pre-tanning streams. Because in the post-tanning streams, as you know very well, these are, we use chemical compounds, auxiliaries, and we do not know the chemistry, and part of it is exhausted and part of it, they are remaining. Therefore, what we do is, depending upon the pollution load, we suggest 28 cycles, 30 cycles, 35 cycles. Out of that, the wastewater volume is, say, 100% in 35 days or 30 days. So much will be reduced. So to that extent, we need to install a kind of baby or laboratory, a pilot scale evaporator. So it's not going to be capital intensive. Of course, do undo, you have to respond. So may I give it to
with reference to the query from Mr. Gutama, of course, at Kolba, they have tried the system of after primary treatment. They have used this electro-oxidation facility, and they now are planning to go with that initially, and later on, they are planning to do the sectional stream treatment. So therefore, it is very much possible, and particularly, they feel this is much easier for them to meet all the norms.
And it eliminates completely secondary.
Yeah. So therefore, you can eliminate both secondary and tertiary treatment. And with reference to the other question, the reference to the number of cycles, already Dr. Saravanan had explained. So it's clear that the requirement is 1/100th of your actual requirement. Particularly in the case of the post-tanning stream, the volume is very low. So something like if you are operating a 5-ton capacity per day, so the volume that we are talking about is something like 100 liters, because we are using 35 cycles. So when you calculate per day and divide it by 35, it is very much manageable, particularly the post-tanning stream. Yeah, thank you.
You were asking about sectionalization. Why soaking alone, and then you are trying to go for an evaporation. Let me tell you, when you are composite, everything you put and then go through an RO. That means instead of 100 liters of my soak liter, you have now 1000 liters of composite. You are subjecting it to RO. You are beating the bush around. Instead, what we said is, treat your, this is only 100 liters of soak liquor that is evaporated, not the composite RO. And so that is also one. And as of course, if somebody is happy with composite to be treated in UO based and then discharged, fine.
Maybe secondary pollutant maybe generate actually.
Yes.
Few weeks every.
Yes.
Yes.
Chemicals, when you use the electro-oxidation, secondary pollutant may be generated.
Organics will all be broken. Organics are all broken. Okay. The same what secondary biological treatment, what it does, the bacteria does the job of breaking down to the extent of CO2 and H2O. Here, the electro-oxidation system does, that's all. It is the same. So what you do there and here it's the same.
See, electrolytically you are breaking down and then converting into CO2 and water.
H2O.
So basically, secondary pollutant being present or being formed is very minimal. It all depends upon the extent of, your oxidation. I think first let me thank everyone for active participation and then looking at it very critically. Some of the questions posed by the people and answering to the point of do undo process logics. See, that's how we have to look at it. When you take any new process, we should look at what is the problem with the conventional process. Because after all, leather industry is a very traditional industry. Nobody wants to change their minds. See, if I say pickling sulfuric acid, nobody wants to go for hydrochloric acid. They say, see, it's been coming from ages. See, my grandfather was using, why should I change now? That's the perception, because it's a very traditional industry. So, when we develop a totally out of box and then totally away from the conventional method, we should look at it where basically the problem is. So that is where the do-undo process logics have been critically analyzed and then looked at how to avoid that. As you rightly pointed out, that charge phenomena is there. Basically you are talking about a biomaterial, that's a protein. Positive, negative charges with the pH changing up and down, you are changing the charges, negative charge, positive. In liming, deliming. And the isoelectric point, conventionally, it changes, conveniently changes from 6. In liming it goes to 4.7, and then after chrome tanning again it comes back to 6.5. So it is not that at an isoelectric point no chromium is fixed. You put your pelt at 4.7, even that pH chromium takes, because the charges are available. So here what we are trying to do, we are trying to normalize the pH instead of too much of alterations, that is go to 12 and then, in fact we have not put it, we don't really need to go to 12 in liming, because we don't want to bring many of the technologies in one shot. There are technologies wherein enzymatic based ones where you try to avoid liming and then try to do at a pH even lesser than 9. So where you try to narrow down the pH, wherein in that particular pH profile of 4 to 5, we try to do everything. So the charge changes are always there inside. It's not that charge changes are not there, because the fixation of chromium is basically with the ionized carboxyl group. So only thing, you start at a higher pH where the charges are highly available. Only thing, the fixation needs to be controlled. How we monitor the fixation so that it doesn't fix at the surface. That's what is the principle that is in the waterless chrome tanning. The do-undo is eliminated totally to a minimum. It's not that do-undo is not there. Still do-undo is there, because after all chromium liquor is acidic in nature. Your protein is at a basic pH. So that do-undo takes place, but not to the extent as you really see in generating too much of neutral salts. That's what it is. Yeah, please.
And that water reduction, he asked about the water reduction. Actually, the water reduction that was mentioned by Dr. Madan is the total water reduction if one implements the enzyme-based system, waterless chrome tanning, and electrooxidation. So put together. Yeah, it's a integrated system.
What is the effect of basified chrome salt and normal chrome tanning salt on this?
Basically, we have not tried.
For this particular technology, we have to use normal chrome salt with 33% basicity. Normal chrome salt.
Friends, with this, I think with this we are coming to an end. I must thank every one of you who have participated wholeheartedly in making this program a more lively one. I must say this interaction as one of the best that we have heard in the recent times. I must congratulate all my colleagues from LIDI who have been working on this now for the past 6 months or so more, effectively taking some of the industry's feedbacks and immediately trying to address and then trying to help. And the way Messrs. Kolba coming out with, yes, we did have some problems, but then we worked with it and then we have come out of it. That itself is a positive indication, and it shows us that nothing is constant here, and we are here to change, and let us change that so-called bad name for the leather sector in Ethiopia. Let us change it for good, and we are all with you. Thank you very much.
Also, I would like to congratulate all of you for such a warm discussion. The ideas, the comments, suggestions that has been aired in this room take us a bit further to solve the current critical problem we are in. I'm very happy to hear that most of the tanners who are here today are willing to absorb the technology. That was a missing gap before, but now with a critical challenge coming and with a series of demonstrations that has been conducted in industries, they realized that we cannot stay behind. We have to go with the growing technologies. And as some of you have said, it's better to start with what we have today. Better technology should come tomorrow. Research and innovation is taking place day after day, even every minute, every second. So whatever technology we have today, we have to try, we have to take it, we have to practice it, and then if there are more technologies to come, and then we have to make ourselves ready to absorb it. That is how it should be. And so today I saw that spirit in the participants, and as has been said, LIDI will be able, will remain ready to work with you. We have a very good partner with us, and we are lucky to have CLRI besides us. We have benefited a lot, and I think in our future endeavors, we will continue working very closely with CLRI staff members. And as a government, let me promise you one thing. We are here to lead the laser sector together with the owners of the sector. We are not the owners, you are the ones, the active participants, the active stakeholders of the sector. So without you, LIDI means nothing. And we need your support. We are coming with innovations, we are coming with new technologies that would solve the current serious problems the laser sector is. So we need your cooperation. We need, if it costs us additional investments, you have to be ready. I'm happy that my friend, my colleague, Ato Kabada, has committed himself. Whatever it costs us, we are ready to invest. That is the spirit, that should be the spirit we expect from all tanners who are gathered here and who are also, today may not be convenient for them to come, but always LIDI store is open for them. If you have queries, questions, whatever concerns you may have, come to us. Try to work with us. Our mere existence depends upon your success. Without you, we mean nothing. It has to be, the bottom line is this, and I made it clear time and again that LIDI continues to work very closely with you in the future. And so, don't hesitate to come and ask your concerns and questions, whatever issues you may have. Together we can make a difference in the sector. And I'm also happy that our development partners, like UNIDO, our friend, our colleague, Wondu, has promised to support the laser sector, and that is a plus for our efforts. So we can propose different initiatives, and we will present to UNIDO, and we can make use of whatever resources they have. If there is such a willingness, we are very fortunate to have Wondu, who has stayed almost half of his life in the laser sector, and then now in a development organization, working very closely with the laser sector as well. So sometimes you may not find such kind of relationships. So it's time for us to capitalize on our connections, on our relations, and then make the most out of it. Not only UNIDO, we have our former employer, Taye, is with us. He's representing EP, EP, funded by DFID. DFID is also a reliable partner for Ministry of Industry, and they have a big program in industrial development in Ethiopia. And so we have invited others as well, but might not be convenient for them, but they are not here. So the chance, the opportunities that we have is very big, and it is up to us to come together, to align ourselves in one direction, and then try to get out of the current situation. Other issues we can discuss in office, and we have, as you say, public wing meetings which can take place every quarter. We will conduct that as well. Let me assure you one thing. The laser sector in Ethiopia, environmental issue is only one problem. There are so many problems that you have to be addressed. And this is very critical because it is a public issue. It is a government issue. And so it has become a political issue nowadays. It is a constitutional issue. So it is a top priority for us to tackle with. But this doesn't mean that this is the end of the story. There are other issues to be settled. And this can also be solved with our togetherness. Together, we can make a difference. So let us stand together to get out of these current practices. Thank you very much.